Okay, hello, whoa, boom, hey, welcome to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. I'm Thundercloud. Mum calls me James. Wash away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Let's have some fun linguistic games. Linguistic. Ooh, what do I got today? What have I got for you today? This one here, Holly Isemongers, greatest hit. It arrived in the mail today. Now, about the author, Holly Isemongers is a poet, critic and editor from Gerringong, New South Wales. She was the joint winner of the Judith Wright Poetry Prize. Her work has appeared in journals such as Cordite, Overland and Westerly, and she's the author of chapbooks Hip Shifts, If the Leaf Falls Press, and Paperweight, Stale Objects Depress. She can be found at H. Isemongers on Twitter, and also Holly Isemongers on Facebook. And I heard of her because her auntie and uncle dropped in here one day, probably 12 months ago or so, and actually I'd heard of her before that because she'd won the Poetry Prize, and then that very week they dropped in here. So I contacted her, and now her book's out, so she sent me a copy, and I asked her, what shall I read from it tonight? So she's also suggested what I read, so I've chosen one myself as well. But the first one we've got here from Holly Isemongers, OK Cupid. Before I go on, I'll acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we broadcast, the Kamilaroi and Banwai people, to acknowledge the continuing connection to the land of the elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge sovereignties never been ceded. Alright, this is OK Cupid by Holly Isemongers. A man who writes messages me on OkCupid saying he won't read other authors, wants it to be original. A receipt is in the corner of the chat window. I hope that he gets the message. Cupid messages the other man who gets a window of hope that authors me. He wants the message to be original. He writes on a receipt. I chat in the corner saying, it is okay, won't be read. Arrange today, be at the grass, playing some bodies to a low point. Here is what assembles overhead. Momentarily decide on the one to love. Do you still know that flies? Cupid says the original message won't be okay. He authors the window and that receipt. I corner a man of hope and chat in other messages. He wants to write it to me. Who gets to read? Who gets read? At what point do you decide to love someone? Bodies arrange on the grass. The day assembles. A low plane flies overhead. Know that to be here is to be momentarily still. Desire reversing out a driveway. My eyes, water lines of asphodels, end the real paradise scene. Shot the last piece of our tribute, I walk to the car. Still here at a low point, love momentarily assembles on bodies, arrange some head. Today, you decide on what to do over. the grass, be the one, the plane that flies. Our end line's paradise. I walk to the asphodels. Desire drives the real scene, reversing a car out of shot. My eyes water, a way to tribute the last piece. The last piece of paradise walks out of shot. My eyes water. My tribute to real desire. Asphodels line our driveway. I end the scene. A car reversing. A lovely piece of writing. Here's another one from Holly Isemongers. The varieties of melancholy experience. Sunday sadness is indignant. A pastoral morning stomps into the room. You hunt recollections for something good. Verdant trees shake outside the window. Monday's sadness is metallic. It is a structure holding nothing. It's the glare discharging from charm bracelets, well-washed cars, the braces of youths and shards of glass. It's a chemical film on the gums of thought. Tuesday, sadness is acute. Tasks hover like the threat of root canal. The pain is callous, but the water leaking from your eyes relieves the pressure. The tears are proof of something. The water on your cheek is tiny receipts. Evidence is a small kindness. Thursday sadness appears a day early. The sadness is swampy and brown. It's bearing the unbearable while trekking through snert. No one notices your victories. Thor's soft incisors fall into his pint. Wednesday is unrepentant. This sadness watches your day unfold from a high moral vantage point. It has the cold demeanour of a blank Word document. Mistakes and fears are itemised and made actionable. Friday sadness is ice cream with a cherry on top. You think of a little girl delighting in the treat. You think of the grief she will have to endure. Sequins smooshed into dirt. The cavity, the candy pulled out. Saturday sadness is a performance conducted for others. You think you're delivering it clearly, but you look down and discover you are holding a handful of teeth. Instead of being understood, you have emptied the stadium. You are more alone than ever before, and now you have a lisp. Beautiful ending, yeah. Yeah, what a lovely piece of writing, but funny ending, yeah, now you have a lisp. All right. Yeah, I'm really quite enjoying reading about this. Here we go. This is the one got me here. It's just the word nymphomaniac. I'll just go past that one. My life as an artist, well, yeah, nymphomaniac. My life as an artist. Oh, I lost sleep last night. Oh, so tired. My head is a potato. My life was always art, but work made it dirt. Is life always dirt? I lost my night working potatoes, a tired head, but my last sleep was art. My part is in a new bearing from which thick plants bud. Much of depression arises from the underground. I'm chasing versions of me through alleyways in search of a thought, a furtive heart, a tuber in the dark. So much potato. But I made it art last night. Is life always tired? Night is lost sleep. My head work was dirt. My depression is a much thickened underground part bearing buds from which new plants arise. Lost my work last night. My life was dirt. My head is but a tired potato. Sleep is a lost art. Which plants bear the buds from the underground? My depression is thick. Growth is spoiled. And what of labour? I don't do work. I hold the hands. Help in my harvest. It's my soil. Me, I know what I am on to. Please. A dark thought in a tuber. I am in an alleyway, chasing furtive versions of my heart. Search through me. Hold on, don't harvest my labour. I help the growth of the soil and I know it's working. I am the spoils. Please me. My hands know what to do. I'm chasing versions of me in dark alleyways in search of a furtive thought, a tuber for a heart. I'm working on my growth, its harvest, my hands in the soil. Please help me. I hold the spoils of my labour and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I don't know how to live with it. Whoa, yeah. I don't know about you, but I really felt the heaviness in that poem. It was like, wow. Yeah. I really felt heavy. Now, I won't do the structure one because that's the one that I've chosen personally yet. Actually, I will because that was it. There's the fourth one, the one that I chose myself. This one's called Structure, and it's sort of like, you know, like a figure of eight, so it sort of gets wide and it goes skinny and then it gets wide again. The moon is approx 384,000 kilometres away from the Earth. The gravitational force between them is relative to their masses, so the lighter object orbits the larger. The distance that separates these celestial bodies will exist long after we're gone. The facts found in the footnotes of a book in the corner of a bed between the notches of a vertebrae in a back that's curled away, a creep to form a shape that is me lying next to a man that I love. Maybe don't. Wanting to fuck, but he won't. I count these spinal notches like sheep. Dreams come slow, supine, float over surfaces, linger on skin until I'm a cloud caught on a mountain range. And there you are, so heavy in your sleep. The sadness is built into the structure. By Holly Isemongers, and it's published in, it was published by Vagabond Press in 2023. So check them out on www.vagabondpress.net.
Where are they based?
They are based in, believe it or not, it doesn't even say.
Oh well.
That's pretty funny, to tell you the truth.
Was it a fib or was it just structure?
Structure, that poem.
Was it a fib?
No, it wasn't. It was just that's
Okay.
what it was called, structure, yeah. Yeah. It looked like it could be a Fibonacci. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't say. So it's www.vagabondpress.net, Vagabond Press. So yeah, you can buy Holly's book, go online and check it out. You buy it directly. All right. Well, I've got one that I'm going to be doing in a few weeks up there in Tenterfield. So I want to practice it. So I'm going to do that right now, and then after that, I think I'll invite Gabriel up, if that's all right. You can come on up after this. This one is called Froggy Flat. It's a bit of bush poetry I wrote, trying to create something a bit funny. You might have heard it before, I've done it before. But anyway, here goes. A peaceful place is Froggy Flat, and my story is quite funny, about a man named Phil McColl who fell head first in the dunny. It was a dark and lonely night, and this is not a joke. As Phil walked to the toilet, the dunny made a croak. He turned his phone torch on and opened up the door, and as he walked inside, the dunny croaked once more. Then the dunny kept on croaking in the middle of the night. He shone his torch about to find everything all right. It was a long drop compost with not a pleasant smell, and as he opened up the lid, he tripped and his phone fell. It was dark inside the dunny, but he knew his phone was right. It had landed on the sawdust and Phil could see the light. Well, he went back to the kitchen and got a pair of tongs. His feet were cold, and so he put on a pair of thongs. In the dark, he couldn't see that the thongs belonged to his wife, and they were too small and the cause of the coming strife. His wife awoke to an empty bed and also needed to pee. In the dark, she donned Phil's thongs because she couldn't see. In Froggy Flat, the dunny is far down the garden path. In Phil's big thongs, Mrs. McColl slipped and fell flat on her ass. Well, Phil was in the toilet head first. He was leaning in, reaching for his phone when Mrs. McColl burst in. She saw her thongs on Phil and she began to yell, and in surprise Phil lost his grip, and that was when he fell head first into the dunny and landed on his phone. He wiped it off, and that was when he found he wasn't alone. There, inside the dunny, was a giant green tree frog staring him in the face and croaking on a log. Mrs. Mac looked down the hole and asked, "What can I do? I'm busting for a pee and I really need to poo. I've got a turtle head and it's starting to poke out. Call the SES, you stupid woman!" Phil began to shout. Well, Mrs. Mac got angry, pulled up her nightie and had a sit. She let it rip and Phil McCall got covered in more shit. She went back to the kitchen, made a cup of tea, then called the SES and all Phil's mates to come around and see. They had to dig him out as Phil was firmly stuck with a pump, an excavator and the local sewage truck. That afternoon, Phil was freed. He gave a happy shout. He'd been stuck in shit for 14 hours before they finally dug him out. A peaceful place is Froggy Flat, but you won't find Phil McCall. The locals now refer to Phil McCall as Fill Me Hole. Okay. Thank you very much. Well, so what's coming up here? Well, a big reminder, High Country Theatre down in Armidale presents our favourite shorts. It's continuing this Friday and Saturday, the 10th and the 11th of March. They are a festival of rehearsed short play readings, so don't expect actings, but short play readings. You can get them online from trybooking.com. Just check out High Country Theatre favourite shorts. On the 25th of March, Fury Musicale is coming here. The Armidale Chamber Choir with St. J.S. Bach's St. John Passion. That's a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. On the 1st of April, we've got the Fool's Bush Dance with the Big Hairy Bush Dance Band coming back. That's on a Saturday night. Then in August, we've got one heat of the Australian Poetry Slam coming here. August 16th will be the workshop and the 17th will be the Wednesday, will be the heat. And then in November, we've got 9, 10, 11, we've got a poetry festival happening here, and I'm currently planning a poetry film festival competition as part of that, with submissions to be done on filmfreeway.org. So that should be exciting and
Emulating.
yeah, should be. Yeah. But not the first poetry video film festival in the world, but the first Australian one that I've seen online. So yeah. All right, well that's what's coming up, and now I will invite Gabriel on up here. Gabriel Donleavy, make him welcome.
Hi, everybody here and everybody out there. I am focusing tonight on one particular poetic form that is a ball breaker called a sestina. And a sestina is even more artificial than the Fibonacci poem, and it is arranged in 6 verses of 6 lines, followed by a tercet, which is 3 lines, with this catch. The last word of each line in the first verse has to appear in all the subsequent verses, but in a different order. And the usual is first verse order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then 615, 423, etc., etc. Won't bore you with all the numbers, but if you don't stick to that, it's not a sestina. Doesn't have to rhyme, although many do, and it takes some getting used to. And I've had it on my agenda of something to try and have a go at for ages, and I hadn't done it until this one. I think, well, I haven't got time to do that today. Something like that, you've got to edit and edit and edit. I'll just sit down at the table and see if anything comes out. And to my considerable surprise, it came out pretty fast and only needed a bit of editing to be presentable. It's still a work in progress, but it is presentable. But because it's so heavily structured, I'm going to read out 3 other people's famous and allegedly often cited sestinas, so that you get a feel of the particular rhythm and the particular resonances that a sestina has that other kinds of structured poems don't. First one, A Miracle for Breakfast by Elizabeth Bishop. At 6 o'clock we were waiting for coffee and the charitable crumb that was going to be served from a certain balcony, like kings of old or like a miracle. It was still dark. 1 foot of the sun steadied itself on a long ripple in the river. The first ferry of the day had just crossed the river. It was so cold, we hoped that the coffee would be very hot, seeing that the sun was not going to warm us and that the crumb would be a loaf each, buttered by a miracle. At 7, a man stepped out on the balcony. He stood for a minute alone on the balcony, looking over our heads towards the river. A servant handed him the makings of a miracle, consisting of 1 lone cup of coffee and 1 roll, which he proceeded to crumb, his head, so to speak, in the clouds, along with the sun. Was the man crazy? What under the sun was he trying to do up there on his balcony? Each man received 1 rather hard crumb, which some flicked scornfully into the river, and in a cup, 1 drop of the coffee. Some of us stood around, waiting for the miracle. I can tell what I saw next. It was not a miracle. A beautiful villa stood in the sun, and from its doors came the smell of hot coffee. In front, a baroque white plaster balcony, added by birds who nest along the river. I saw it with 1 eye, close to the crumb. And galleries and marble chambers, my crumb, my mansion, made for me by a miracle, through ages by insects, birds and the river, working the stone, every day in the sun. At breakfast time, I sit on my balcony, with my feet up and drink gallons of coffee. Last verse. We licked up the crumb and swallowed the coffee. A window across the river caught the sun, as if the miracle were working on the wrong balcony. And that's number 1 of 4. Here comes number 2. This is by Algernon Charles Swinburne. And it's still, of course, a sestina. I saw my soul at rest upon a day, as a bird sleeping in the nest of night, among soft leaves that give the starlight way, to touch its wings, but not its eyes with light, so that it knew as one in visions may, and knew not as men waking of delight. This was the measure of my soul's delight. It had no power of joy to fly by day, nor part in the large lordship of the light, but in a secret moon beholden way, had all its will of dreams and pleasant night, and all the love and life that sleepers may. But such life's triumph as men waking may, it might not have to feed its faint delight, between the stars by night and sun by day, shut up with green leaves and a little light, because its way was as a lost star's way, a world's not wholly known of night, of day or night. All loves and dreams and sounds and gleams of night made it all music that such minstrels may, and all they had they gave it of delight. But in the full face of the fire of day, what place shall be for any starry light? What part of heaven in all the world, in all the white sun's way? Yet the soul woke not, sleeping by the way, watched as a nursling of the large-eyed night, and sought no strength nor knowledge of the day, nor closer touch conclusive of delight, nor mightier joy, nor truer than dreamers may, nor more of song than they, nor more of light. For who sleeps once and sees the secret light, whereby sleep shows the soul a fairer way, between the rise and rest of day and night, shall care no more to fare as all men may, but be his place of pain or of delight, there shall he dwell, beholding night as day. Last verse. Song. Have thy day, and take thy fill of light. Before the night be fallen across thy way, sing while he may, man hath no long delight. See, different mood with it,
Oh, I like
says
that.
Stephen.
Yeah.
He is quite nice. Third one of four, entitled Paysage Moralise by Auden. Hearing of harvests rotting in the valleys, seeing at end of street the barren mountains, round corners coming suddenly on water, knowing them shipwrecked who were launched for islands. We are founders of these starving cities, whose honour is the image of our sorrow, which cannot see its likeness in their sorrow that brought them desperate to the brink of valleys. Dreaming of evening walks through learned cities, they rein their violent horses on the mountains, those fields like ships to castaways on islands, visions of green to them who craved for water. They built by rivers, and at night the water, running past windows, comforted their sorrow. Each in his little bed conceived of islands, where every day was dancing in the valleys. And all the green trees blossomed on the mountains, where love was innocent, being far from cities. But dawn came back, and they were still in cities. No marvellous creature rose up from the water. There was still gold and silver in the mountains, but hunger was a more immediate sorrow, although to moping villagers in valleys, some waving pilgrims were describing islands. The gods, they promised, visit us from islands, are stalking head up lovely through our cities. Now is the time to leave your wretched valleys and sail with them across the lime green water. Sitting at their white sides, forget your sorrow, the shadow cast across your lives by mountains. So many, doubtful, perished in the mountains, climbing up crags to get a view of islands. So many, fearful, took with them their sorrow, which stayed them when they reached unhappy cities. So many, careless, dived and drowned in water. So many, wretched, would not leave their valleys. Last verse. It is our sorrow. Shall it melt? Then water would gush, flush, green these mountains and these valleys, and we rebuild our cities, not dream of islands.
Lovely. It's been really nice so far.
And last, and by all means least, is my contribution. And this is called, by way of pun, an existential bet. Being a pun on an existential threat. Overused cliche of the moment. Right. If the truth of life is reincarnation, aren't we overdue a revelation? Are there really laws of karma, more than ruling classes' armour? Is death only endless night? I'm not certain that's quite right. Is oblivion a human right? Should we reject reincarnation for endless sleep in endless night? In the lottery of revelation, knowledge seems our strongest armour to expose enigmatic karma. Show us who invented karma. Tell us how might isn't right. If virtue is the best of armour, but that requires reincarnation, we're well past due some revelation. What souls shine clear in endless night? Wolf packs howl in silvery night and eat their prey, not sensing karma. Juicy meat, their revelation, surviving fittest, basic right. But is vulpine reincarnation, lapdogs, rabbits, even farmers? Injustice in this life needs armour, vile atrocities in the night. Their victims trust reincarnation, ensures revenge because of karma. Sing, it's gonna be all right, wait so long for revelation. Give us this day our revelation. Wrap us in your divine armour. Make us see what's really right. Open the black hole named night. Tell the truth about old karma. Prove or disprove reincarnation. Last verse. The revelation sought tonight to make us calmer over karma. Is it right or real reincarnation? The end.
Woo! Yay.
Thank you. Thanks, Gabriel. They were all lovely, including your own, which was different topic on the other ones, but particularly like the second one you did, and
Swindler.
and Auden's one. But I did like the first one as well, so they were all a great selection, and I'm going to have to look up that myself and try writing Sestina?
Sestina.
Sestina.
S-E-S-T.
Sestina.
Tina as in Tina Turner.
Okay, Sestina Turner. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Here's one I wrote 6 days ago. I was just like making stuff up in my bed, as you do when you're there. It's a mind bender, the secret agenda behind closed doors. Stop and pause. Decisions are made by unelected people you'll never meet. They could be human-looking, shape-shifting aliens just walking down the street. Some of them have nefarious intentions from the start, but they've lost control because the majority of humans now live from the heart. The aliens control human laws, wars and systems of fear. That's enough. It's pretty dumb. It was just, I don't know, it was just shit in the middle of the night. Actually, this one I'm more happier with. A ewe will always be a ewe. A ram will always be a ram. Some lamb ends up on the table cooked and known as lamb. A hen will always be a hen, a cock, always a cock. Chickens can be a cock or hen. You'd have to have a look. Some women don't stay as women, some transition to men. And some men also transition from men into women. A cow will always be a cow. A bull will always be a bull. A push sign on a door never means pull. Up is always up and down is always down. Brown is brown and the world keeps spinning around. Air will always be air. My hair will always be my hair. An apple's an apple, a pear always a pear. If you see a bear in the woods, it's a fair bet. Shit's there. That's it, yeah. Alright. Okay. And now I'm going to invite Ashley. Look, Skye's just nominated Ashley. Thanks, Skye. Yeah. Come on over.
Well, what a time we're having of it.
Yeah.
Sitting in the garage there in Armadale watching the shorts. My mate Kay Mills' little drama comes on. Kids and adults form a Greek chorus as if King Oedipus is about to rediscover his eyes. And a narrator walks across the stage describing going down the street with all the dogs yapping and calling out. It was very funny. And I had little kids in the chorus lineup going, woof, woof. Very funny. Enjoyed it, Kay. I enjoyed it. So, I will read some of Kay's, a couple of her poems tonight about Armadale. Well, my three rulers once again brought me here. Hypothesis, implication, and perimeter, or test. Enough said about that. It was a full moon last night, and we have to go to the 22nd to get the first sliver of possibility for another one. I've been watching, what have I been reading and watching? I've been watching Dr. Holmes from Wheaton College, Wheaton Christian College in the United States. There's about 100-hour-long lectures on philosophy, and I can really recommend them. He's very fascinating and lucid. He keeps talking about cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect, but not like a parrot. And the word methodology is always uppermost. And he does give you a good method of thought across the millennium. It was interesting to hear Swinburne mentioned tonight, because I've been thinking a lot about Swinburne and Meredith lately. Meredith was a poet and novelist. I don't know them, but they were immensely popular in their time. And I've been thinking about our time. We come and go, don't we? Who knows? Who will be famous and who will be not along the Nietzschean rapture of return. I wrote this poem today looking out on a very lowering sky above the lagoon yonder. And it seems to me to echo our time. I go to bed, my stocks are high, my factory's rockets scoop the sky. Towards the dawn, I wake and think, some foes I blew beyond the brink. I flick the screen and watch the distant country's death file stats, birth rate dropping flat, and spurts of folk across the border once, but now a single one briefcase, constant file. I watched my daughter braid her plaits before the breakfast news, flicking through the Guinness Book of Records on her knees. Shouldn't have used the word flick twice, should I? As I stepped forward, presenting her prize and all the other girls of senior form, will be announced as Mr. Bromwell, Susie's dad, benefactor of the school, head of the board. All those upturned faces, upturned, waiting for my speech. The head's been waiting for my speech. The head's been told her shares have rocketed half again in value. She'll beam her face towards me. A year of war, and perhaps some war more to go. And still, her bookshelves show above the family interviews sets of Sassoon, Owen, Kipling's Chants and Rupert Brooke's rich laments. Ah, well, a well-read student smiled to see them marshalled so, and turned her reflection to the shiny redwood table glass at end of term work placement interviews. She left the head's room. At least they didn't all die on the blasted heath. Well, Kipling's son's demise did it for him. She thought, those young women today. Yes, I gave the prizes too fair. Fortune holds for them rules ordered and secured and firm to play life through. he's off to bed, his stocks are high. The Wall Street boys' incessant cry as the share portfolio arrows pixelated up the sky. And, I need to polish that a little, but the basic thought is there. And I read in recent days Kipling's Extraordinary. The man who would be king, wouldn't we all? But we all fall. It's an extraordinary piece of writing from 1888. Power always rings hollow. And when I was reading about the man who would be king, I was fascinated to discover the immense impact it had on T.S. Eliot. And it echoes in that Baktian sense of the voices within the voice forever in almost everything Eliot was to write. He actually wrote a play, a long poem when he was a kid, based around the man who would be king. Anyway, that fascinated me. He's off to bed, his stocks are high, the Wall Street boys' incessant cry, as share portfolio arrowed pixelated up the sky. Well, if you look up pixelation and pixels, study what they are, I will stop for one more philosophical thought. I was reading that there is an experiment where if I had James hold up different headlines on copies of the Sydney Morning Herald, Skye and I would look at them and we'd say, oh, that reads such and such a headline. And if he took them to the end of this room, the Poets Hall of Fame, and he put a headline up that we couldn't read, and he said to us, they wouldn't work in endless space, but if he said to us from the far door, this headline says, Poets Hall of Fame is infinite, we would be able to see, within reason, that the headline said, Poets Hall of Fame is infinite. That fascinates me. That really fascinates me. I think it's got something to do with the proximal zone of learning concepts. Anyway, enough philosophy. Between the Pillow and the Road, Kay's an underrated writer and she underrates herself. But her dog sketch was wonderful the other night. Here's a couple of poems about that strange town which lives with me, Armidale. 2 poems about Armidale. The rim of our valley's bowl is littered by rain clouds. Bleary headlights slide wetly down the South Hill. Traffic sound dampened, streetlight halos blurred, voices all washed out. There is estrangement in the rain, moments with rounded edges. And second poem about Armidale is just titled Armidale. Armidale flatly denies time. 20 years past, I fled, clutching the dregs of my dehydrated youth. But in the end returned, a spawning salmon to the rivers of my own birth, death. To find nothing changed, as if I'd stepped from the wardrobe and half a second gone. The same grey Greek behind his cafe counter, the same dark-eyed hawks haunting apparel, and in the park, the puzzle trees unaltered. Identical students develop calf muscles on the college hill, and the same magpies are caught in the wind like scraps of charred paper. I cannot find one windmill to prove I tilted at something. In Armidale, time has no memory. In 20 years, no one has blinked. I fear its eyeless face. So, once more, that experiment, I had to read it twice to take it in. If James stood in front of me, walking out through the road, showing up headlines on newspapers, and he told me, read that, and I could read it. By the time he got just out of my visual, if he said to me, this headline says, the Guyra Poets Hall of Fame is infinite, you can see it. I and other people would see that those are the words. just at that point where normally it would be beyond vision. It really fascinates me, that experiment. Okay, I will finish with a poem I wrote in my head. This is a poem I wrote in my head. I got out of bed and I didn't have arms. I went down to Beatty Street Mall and sat down on the cold cement. And I opened my mouth. I couldn't catch it, but one lone snowflake crystallized, came down, perched on my lips. I blew it away, but I knew it settled to my closed mouth then, like the wafer at communion, ushering me forth to fourthness.
Wow.
Now, I will finish, as I often do, with a poem from the Anthology of Chinese Literature. I noticed the English have reprinted the Japanese one, which is great. Donald Keen's great Anthology of Japanese Literature. I don't think they've reprinted the Chinese one. Interesting. And the other day I went past a school, and I think the school had taken down the Chinese flag. And they had a whole range of banners and flags on display, and I think the Chinese one has vanished. Perhaps a flag in the wind. Now, let's see what will I read. Serendipitousness across 6,000 years. Here we are. On seclusion. Yang Yun, letter to Sun Wei Tsung. Just a little bit of it. The superior man practices the way and delights in forgetting his cares. The mean man seeks to prolong his life and loves to forget his faults. Considering that my errors had been great and my actions far from what they should have been, I decided that it was best for me to end my days as a farmer. So I took my wife and family to the country where, pooling our strength, we plough, tend mulberries, water the garden, and so produce enough to pay our taxes to the state. It never occurred to me, however, that such activities might arouse your censure. Horses for courses, isn't it, this world? W-O-R-L-D, or as John Donne would say, W-H-I-R-L-D. Yes, I noticed that Chinese flag had vanished for the open day. I don't want to see the Chinese flag sitting on the school wall.
It's International Women's Day today. There's this fella
Is
on
it internet?
the 8th of March, yeah. There's this fella on the internet that some people think is a misogynist, and he's a self-proclaimed feminist, as in his words. Anyway, this is Andrew Tate. What is it about Andrew Tate specifically that makes people hate? I'll just sit back and wait. Don't hesitate nor procrastinate. Tell me about your specific trigger, mate. What makes you hate Tate? That's it. Yeah.
Oh, do that again.
That's it.
Oh,
Andrew Tate. What is it about Andrew Tate specifically that makes people hate? I'll just sit back and wait. Don't hesitate nor procrastinate. Tell me about your specific trigger, mate. What makes you hate Tate?
gosh, how strange.
Yeah. Oh, look, I don't know. Look, watch a few of his videos and you might work it out. I don't know. It's because he's forthright. People don't like forthright people quite often. Yeah, I think. Guessing.
Strange.
Just like some people were, this is a complaint. No, it's a complaint about complaining. Not really. Laugh. giggle, relax. There's no need to complain about all the cracks. Please, not again. All you do is complain even about drought-breaking rain. Take a giant chill pill. Go and see Dr. Phil. You're a dill whining about society's ill. Earth gets flatter? Mad as a hatter. Circumstances don't matter. Why care that people have hair, birds fly in the air? They increase the bus fare. No need to hurry. Enjoy your current curry. Learn from all. Why worry? Walk down sandy tracks to the beach, relax. Board shorts, no under dacks. It snows, rains, flooded rivers flows, wind blows on all. Chill down, sister, slow.
Oh.
That's it. Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to invite Skye on up. Welcome, Skye.
Who wrote that complaint one?
Me.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Very charming. Very relaxed.
Okay. Explorations of soul. Hollow little hollow, hollow little hole, unexplored crevasses, cavernous caresses. Exploration has its endings, most often ends in tears. Trails left to be the conquered, places harder than to reach if communications fails and directions fail to teach. Unable to embrace it through the walls of fear and pain, expectations disappoint. And so I'll find it on my own, maybe all alone, whether harder than the hardest, holding strong or staying long. Exciting highs and lows bring treasures to the soul, feeling lighter, brighter, and holier than whole.
Oh, that's
When did you write that?
That was, I think, last year.
Cool.
Last year, yeah, last year. Something a little bit shorter. The Wanderer. She, the wanderer, wondering where he must be, searching, surrendering to that which is free, surrounded by magic of nature is she, contently embraced and wandering free.
Can you do that again?
Yeah.
Do it again?
Please, yeah.
Yeah, sure. She, the wanderer, wondering where he must be, searching, surrendering to that which is free, surrounded by magic of nature is she, contently embraced and wandering free.
Interesting how it changes gender.
Yeah, and I have done it switched around too. Yeah. And the last one, a soul. A soul that is connected, a soul that not, a soul that is connected, a soul not afraid of giving, close to the earth and closer to the living, not ingesting or suggesting the torture or the dead, seeking growth and the growing, a passion we both hold, not defiant or reliant, but to embrace and nurture our passions and our loves, no hurting or diminishing, just caressing and enriching the life that we behold, together we evolve.
Thank you. Thanks, very much. Got that high. Well, I got just a few left from myself this week before we head off and say goodbye. And it's been a nice little short night of poetry tonight with a nice bunch of friendly poets. Now, this Australian Poetry Hall of Fame here, it takes up a lot of my time. I live here, I live here, I live here, and I work here, and I live here, and I live here, and I work here. And I have lots of like ideas and stuff, and then there'll be interruptions and things to do. And so I'm working on my planning at the moment. I'm also planning poetry festivals and competitions, and then looking for, and I'd love to be able to publish my books. So, as you could possibly understand, there are times when it's sort of like, it seems really big, like overwhelm almost, but it's not overwhelm, it just seems big, and I've just got to focus on one thing at a time. This is what I got out of it. I might be drowning, but I can swim, mouth full of water, and I'm waving, waiting for the volunteer lifeguard to come. Swimming alone in a ripper's dumb. Bitten off more than I can chew, I need a hand to do what I can do. Drifting alone out to sea, I call help. I'm so far away, no one hears my yell. I came for a swim during my vacation, now I need a helping hand in my situation. I'm going under, I'm going down. I'll need your help if I'm not going to drown. A cramp in my leg, will I disappear? I need to stay calm. No panic or fear. Far from the beach, no breath anymore. Please help me get back to the shore. Sharks are about, I want to shout. I'm going to need help if I'm going to get out. I'm drowning, even though I can swim. A hand in the air, and I'm not waving.
Oh, very good. Molto bene.
Yeah. And I just edited that on the last, as I'm reading the last line, because in the second line says a mouthful of water and I'm waving, but I changed it a hand in the air and I'm not waving to here. It says I'm waving, but yeah.
Makes you think of that image in Stevie Smith.
Yeah.
Not waving but drowning, is it?
Not drowning, waving.
No, so I just think it's Stevie Smith. Not waving but drowning.
So, I've been practicing a bit of a mantra this week that I learned. Circumstances don't matter. State of being matters. So, when I can think about what, feel overwhelmed or circumstances or whatever, it's okay, state of being. What am I being? What am I becoming? And then focus it that way. So this is what I got out of that particular mantra. Circumstances don't matter, state of being matters. How things are is unimportant, but how you are being is. There's no need to cry. You can choose or not to whiz. Doesn't matter what the circumstances. It's most important that you enjoy life's dances. Your state of being matters, even when it's raining poo. Circumstances never matter. It matters what you do. What really matters is your state of being not the circumstance you imagine, hear, or seen. Focused on the outside world, you might be feeling glum. To sail, a sail must be unfurled. Worrying there's no wind is dumb. The wind blows on everyone, but that doesn't matter. Water always flows from high to low, where it's flatter. That's that. It's a little philosophical kind of, I guess it's a bit Zen, Buddhist, Zen, Taoist kind of, anyway, Zen Buddhism grew out of Taoism, so like, could be either. And then, if I got one more for you. Oh yeah, the last one that I'm going to do. It's about, because we just went into, we've just entered autumn. Autumn, yes. Can you hear those crickets? Has everyone around here got a cricket plague? I don't know. I've got a little black cricket plague around here. You can hear them.
Yes.
Yes. There is no reason for the changing of the season, the annual rebirth, but for the tilt of the earth. Changing of the sky, migratory birds all fly to or from the north on a warmer course. Winds whistle and blow, sometimes there's snow, puffy white clouds, also lightning, very loud. Leaves change, then falls from tree-lined halls. Time, sun rises, sunset fades. The earth's tilt is made. All of that and this, flowers of the spring bliss, bodies sun-kissed, hail, sleep, fog, mist, if not for the tilt of the earth, little change, nor rebirth, there would be no reason for the changing of the season. Yes, the tilt of the earth is 23 degrees. That's all. That's it, the tilt of the earth. Well, that's it for me. That's it for you and you and you. And thank you everybody out there in YouTube, Facebook for joining us. And we'll be back here next Wednesday. We'll also be back on Tuesday with Chillin' Tuesday. And stay tuned. Thank you very much. Good night. And don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment and subscribe, please.
One thing I discovered about